back to the channel, man. Today we're picking back up on the dang old mini bike. We gotta get this thing done. What is up with the lighting in here, dude? Holy crap, that is huge. If you guys didn't catch the last video, I know it was just kind of putting up some lights in the garage. It's not the most interesting thing in the world, but most certainly check the link in the description down below if you guys need any kind of lighting for your, whether it's your garage, inside your house, your back patio, whatever, man. Definitely made a huge difference inside of this garage. I ain't gotta use my dang floodlights anymore. But anyhow, moving on, dude. Today is going to be the last round of upgrades for this thing before we finally get it torn down, get it painted and looking good. So there's a few things we gotta do today. I got a new battery. We gotta get this thing mounted up. We gotta get the bike wired up because as you guys know, this thing does have a keyed start, but I haven't been able to use that function because we don't have a battery. So this is gonna be a little involved. Obviously we need to make a battery tray, a hold down. It's gonna require some cutting and welding. And upgrade number 2 is I picked up a steering dampener. So I've been watching a whole lot of Black 66 videos. And this is one of the steering dampeners that he actually used on one of his many mini bike builds. So I ordered the same one from the link that he had in his description. So I'm excited to get this thing on. This thing does up to 60 miles an hour. And at that speed, the handlebars get real wonky. So this should definitely make it a little bit more, a little less sketchy actually. We're gonna have to obviously mount this and it's gonna need a tab welded on and stuff. So again, a very important thing to get done before paint. Last of course is the fenders. We're gonna get these guys mounted today. I know that's not necessarily an upgrade, but currently there is absolutely no way to mount the rear one. Just doing burnouts and stuff on this bike, it's got rubber all over the engine. I'd really like to protect all the road splatter and stuff from getting all over the engine and everything. So once we do paint this thing and make it look nice, it'd be nice to have these on here to help keep it looking nice, you know what I mean? So we're gonna have to do some kind of custom brackets and stuff and cut and weld and everything to get the rear one on. The front one is just gonna bolt in the factory location. That one's gonna be really easy. So let's get into it. All right, we're gonna start off with this battery. I picked this up off of Amazon. It's made by Mighty Max. And this thing should definitely be powerful enough to crank this damn engine. Originally, I was planning on mounting the battery up here, like right around there, you know? I'm not too stoked about it. I don't want this thing to be front and center, and it kind of stands out right there, you know? But since we extended the bike, we have this giant space back here, which I think is just gonna work out a lot better mounting it back here. With it mounted like this, I feel like the battery is really close to the chain. So I'm kind of steering towards mounting it like this. So I have a little bit more space away from that chain, you know? All right, so my hole saw, it's a little on the dull side. So I bust out the plasma torch. I haven't used this thing since we got it. Well, we got it and I tried it that one time. And honestly, I kind of struggled with it a little bit. It worked on thin material, but I couldn't figure out thick material until, you know, I spent a little bit of money. Got myself an extension cord for the 220 plug. So now we actually have this thing running off a 220 and this seems like it works really good now. It's definitely happy. Anyhow, so what I'm gonna do, I have this measured out for how wide the inside of the frame here is. I'm actually taking a hole out of each side and then I'm gonna just cut the hole straight. So this thing isn't just a flat plate inside of there with the battery sitting on it and it's not just flat and welded on each side. Just give it a little bit of like design. So I have like 4 legs kind of that come off and welds to the frame instead of just being one solid sheet. Anyhow, I couldn't make it through even one hole with my damn hole saw. So what I'm going to do now is actually just use the hole saw to make a circle, make a template basically for me to follow with my plasma cutter. All right. There's my circle I gotta cut out. Wish me luck, because this is literally my second time ever using a plasma cutter. It's not bad, man. Oh, that's the one that's half hole saw. There's my hole. Oh, dude, that's hilarious. But it's all good. Remember, I'm gonna cut it straight here and cut it straight here. And then I'll be able to just use a grinder and just kind of clean it up and make it look a little more round. God damn. Whew. Going all the way to my damn shoe. Because I should be wearing pants. I gotta get that, you gotta get that wider stance, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I need to clean it up with the grinder, make everything look kind of relatively straight, you know? Alright, I got that plate cleaned up and I have it sat in there just to kind of mock it up. I still need to clean it and clear the paint and stuff. I just want to see how it's going to fit in here. So originally I wanted this bracket to be a little bit closer to the engine, but whenever you set the battery in there, not only is it kind of in the way of the drain plug, but it also comes in contact with the, right here where you fill the engine up with the dipstick. So I would rather not have to remove the battery every time that I need to service oil or anything, you know? So try to make it as maintenanceable as possible. But now with a scooted back like that, I do need to check and make sure I still have clearance. I'm not putting the spacers or anything on here. This is just get an idea where the wheel's sitting. So yeah, still have plenty enough space from the wheel to the battery and plenty enough space to fit this guy in here. So the idea is for this to also block all the road grime from getting all over the battery. So and with the battery tray there, I'll be able to just put a tab off of it to be able to attach the bottom of this guy. And then I'm gonna try to use the factory tabs on the top up here. I'm gonna try to, well, I gotta cut those off the frame, reposition them in a way to where they'll work. Yeah. Yeah, I think something like that would look pretty sick. I might even cut this thing down a little shorter and get rid of the jagged cut. I know that's kind of a signature of the bike, you know, but I think it'd look pretty cool with a straight cut. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure the battery is gonna have enough room from the tire. With it sitting horizontal like this in the bike, it gives it more space away from the chain, and with a scooted back like this, we can still access the oil fill and drain. And we have plenty enough room that we can put our rear fender on. So I think that's gonna be the perfect spot, my friend. Well, I got that thing all welded in there, and I forgot an extremely important detail. That's where the chain would hit it. And don't worry, it doesn't. Ah, man. I ain't gonna lie, I was looking at it and it scared the living hell out of me. I was like, dude, I didn't even think about the chain. But yeah, the tensioner holds it up to where it's completely out of the way. So, we're good. All right, battery box is for the most part done. It's almost done. I got one more thing I got to do, but yeah, this thing came out pretty sick, man, and it's going to be very sturdy. Honestly, I want to make sure that this battery isn't capable of moving, like, at all. You know how much these damn mini bikes freaking rattle, you know what I mean, and shake? Like, I want to make sure that thing is there, and I don't have to worry about it, like, falling off like while I'm riding or something, you know? Anyhow, I've got it bolted on. I'm going to go ahead and tack these nuts on the bottom. So then I don't have to actually use a wrench and a socket, you know, in order to tighten these things. I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 tacks on each one, maybe 3. We'll see how it goes. Alright, demonstration. Gotta try not to let this thing touch the positive and the negative at the same time, or else that could be a bad time. But there we go, fits on the battery nice and tight, dude. And the battery has this dip on one side and not on the other, so I made sure to follow that. Plus it kind of, with that going in between, it guarantees that the battery's not going to be able to slide forward or back, including the fact that I put some little tabs on these sides, which I need to bend those a little bit more. It's just because of the shape of this thing, my brake wouldn't bend it more than that, so I'm gonna have to bend those at a 90, but I'm gonna do it by hand. But now this will just sit on the plate here, and I don't have to worry about using a socket and a wrench, because we got our nuts welded in there. There it is. I'm not gonna crank these down all the way. You guys get the idea, because I need to pull it back off of there, because we are gonna be welding a tab on the back of this for the fender, so I don't want my battery sitting there while I weld that. But I need to put the wheel on. I need to figure out exactly where the fender is gonna go. All right, I got the rear fender figured out. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the front fender just literally screws onto the factory location. But since we've changed so much in the back, I had to figure this guy out. So I used the factory bottom bracket and just welded it to the bottom of our battery tray. And then I had to add this bar in up here, and it's got a little flat plate with 2 screws in it. So this will bolt at the bottom right here, and then this will bolt right there to those 2 screws. And then I used the factory mounting tabs that I cut off, and I made a little backer plate. This is gonna go on the inside of the fender. That's got the welded on nuts. That'll go on the inside like that and like sandwich the fender in between it. So that should be nice and sturdy. I did a reset on my work environment, got all my mess cleaned up, and now we are ready to move on to our final installation on it. Well, I say final, we still got to come back and actually wire the battery. I want to get that done in this video, but I did find the perfect hardware for mounting the steering stabilizer up. Mini bike world, welcome to the automotive world, or I guess you can just say the Honda world. I bet mini bike guys have already been using hardware like this on their bikes. Anyhow, I found a couple bolts that are gonna fit in here. I had to bevel out a couple washers because I like these 1/4 inch washers on, I think these are 3/8 of an inch bolts, but these 1/4 inch washers just fit nice and tight, where the other washers that I had that actually fit over this were just ginormous. It would be sticking out. But this thing is gonna get mounted. So this side here bolts to the forks themselves. So that's gonna bolt like that. And then on this side, we have to make a bracket or a little tab and weld it on the frame where this thing right here is gonna bolt up. And this just goes around the entire housing of the dampener. And then it tightens down around the housing of the dampener and it gives you a spot to bolt it up. So that's basically what we need to do. Just make a tiny little tab for that to bolt up. And other than that, we gotta drill a hole right here. Just the main thing here is to make sure to mount this in a way that you have full throw of the handlebars left and right and it doesn't bind up or anything. So all right, so if you're not aware what it is the steering stabilizer, steering dampener does, it just adds resistance to the handlebars. So right now this thing here, let's turn it all the way down, so it's also adjustable, which is really nice. So this is a little difficult to move by hand, but you got to remember you're going to have a lot of leverage whenever this is attached to the handlebars or to the forks, because you have the whole handlebar that you're steering this thing with. But this bike especially, I have noticed that whenever you're going higher speeds, like really anything like 45 and above, the whole front end starts to kind of do this. And little bumps in the road really makes it like jerk, you know? So this is going to add some stability, because you can move this pretty easy in a straight motion like this, but as soon as you start trying to move it really fast, like what the street would be doing, it adds a lot of resistance and it's not going to let it move around like that. And that is set all the way on low. You turn this thing all the way up, honestly, I mean, you can still do it, but it makes it pretty hard to even turn by hand or to move by hand. So yeah, there's a lot of adjustability there. All right, as for the front of this thing, that is literally it. That is done, dude. All you have to do is just drill a hole. Alright, so there's a lot going on whenever you're trying to mount one of these guys. You'd think just find a spot, stick it there, and it's going to be happy, but unfortunately that is not the case. So as you guys know, I drilled this hole first for the front portion, and then basically if this was any closer to the frame, if it wasn't spaced out like this, then it didn't have enough throw for the forks to actually go full lock. So right now, that's full lock going right. You see that little bit of shininess that's left in there? And then full lock going left. Tiny little bit of shininess. Dude, dead centered right there, man. It actually turned out really nice. But if this was any closer to the frame, it would make throw have to be even longer. And then I was running out of throw. I wasn't able to go full lock left to right. But yeah, dude, came out really clean, man. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like how it's a little bit more straight. It's still at a slight angle towards the frame, but most of the time I see these and they're at just a ridiculous angle like this, and I don't really like the way that looks, man. But this came out really nice. I had to run the brake line on the inside of the frame, so it's kind of out of the way, and it seemed to work pretty well. Dude, this thing makes a huge difference being able to turn these damn forks. I gotta turn this thing down. But yeah, that worked, you know, at least it's long enough. That's one of the main things I need to change on this bike is I need a new brake line. It's a little bit longer so that I can actually route it a little cleaner. But anyhow, moving on, we got one more thing that we got to do in this video to finish it up. And that is actually run the wires from this battery to the starter, man. Because I am excited to finally be able to put this damn key to use. So we literally only have to run a power and a ground. All the other wiring as far as the switch and everything, that's all done. From factory, all this stuff was already done. The only thing that I took off was the power and the ground because temporarily I didn't have a battery to connect them to. I have these ran to where the ground is going to hook up there and the positive will hook up right there. And then it runs nice and clean up here and behind the coil. And then it goes through that little passageway, and then the wiring just kind of sits on top right there and drops down behind the starter. And I'm going to utilize this hole right here for the ground. I'm just going to ground it directly to the block right there. And then if you come around the other side, our power wire is just going to swoop up and connect right here to the solenoid on the starter. And then it'll be nice and clean, dude. The wiring, for the most part, won't be visible. Right now, I'm just getting my length, so I need to cut this off, and I'm going to have to put some ring terminals on both of them. And I got my favorite freaking tool out. Dude, this right here was life-changing whenever I grabbed this from Harbor Freight. It's actually a hydraulic press for crimping wires. I don't know how many times I have put in these ring terminals on, especially the larger ones for like automotive, like for the car battery and all that stuff, using like vice grips, you know, to crimp it. And it turns out so ghetto. It's never as nice as you want it to be. Huge game changer getting this hydraulic wire crimping tool. But anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and get these cut to the length they need to be, and I need to crimp on some of these guys. And I also have some loom. I'm gonna loom these things up. Unfortunately, this is the smallest loom that I have. I'll have to order some better loom. Whenever we tear the bike down, I can put some smaller loom on it so it's not so like loose on the wiring, you know what I mean? But for now, that'll work. All right, so right now I'm just cutting the wires to length, but I figured I'd share something with you guys that kind of helps me. I'm putting a mark right where the wire, so I try to put the wire up to where it needs to go. Like for instance, right here on the starter solenoid, the wire is going to swoop down and it's going to sit like that naturally. So I'm putting a mark right here on the forward facing portion of the wire, far enough back that's still going to be there whenever I strip this. Reason being, if you guys have ever crimped one of these guys on, and let's say whenever it swoops under and it's sitting something like this, and I have to like turn it and put pressure on the wire to get it sit flat. So whenever I put that mark on the wire, I go to strip it and I go to crimp this guy on, I can make sure that the flat portion that I want pointing forward is lined up with that line that I just put on the wire. It's just a small little thing. It's not a huge deal, but definitely makes things look a lot cleaner for the finished product. Power harness is all finished, and honestly, dude, this loom came out pretty nice, dude. It's not terrible. I thought it was gonna look real like loose and saggy. Anyhow, before I put that in, I'm gonna try to clean this mumbo jumbo up. If I can get this inside of some loom, that'd be nice. I don't want it to look like that anymore. Alright, moment of truth, man. First start.
Make sure one gear.
That's freaking sick, dude.
I think so. I think I have no problem.
Dude, that is so freaking cool. I don't know if the battery charges or not. Right here, oh look, there is something going back there. So that's the signal going to that, but then look, there's a wire going in here. That's got to be a charger.
Yeah, because my block didn't have that.
Because look, there's the oil sensor.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's gotta be. I bet this thing does charge, bro.
It probably does.
I mean, why else is there a wire running behind the damn... I guess we'll see if the battery just never goes dead. The hell? Well, there it is. We got quite a bit done to this thing today. Got the wiring all cleaned up, which is definitely huge. I'm actually extremely stoked with how this came out. That actually looks a lot better than I ever imagined it looking. I love how clean everything runs back here and comes back to the battery. We got the battery mount made, fabricated, installed. That thing is solid, not going anywhere. I feel really confident about that. Of course, we got the fenders on, dude. I really like how the fenders kind of, like, it makes it look a little bit more complete or finished, if you will. With the extension, it just always seemed like something was missing. And I think now with the fender on there, well, with both fenders, it just gives it a little bit more of a finished look. What else did we do? Oh yeah, the steering stabilizer. This thing is crazy, bro. Like, I did take it for a ride down the block and back, and I had this thing on a little stiff, so you need to, well, no diddy. That's what she said. Anyhow, you have to be careful whenever you first put one of these on. You kind of got to get used to it, dude. I tried to simply just go down the curb whenever I left the house, and it was on kind of hard, stiff. Dude, there's no way of saying that without generating comments. Anyhow, it was weird. Like, it felt strange. Like, I felt like I was almost going to crash the bike, dude, because it's like you put in steering input and it's not moving. You got to build that muscle memory. So, yeah, definitely loosened it up a little bit. Now I'm sitting like all the way loose, and then I turned it tight like 8 clicks. There's actually quite a few clicks on that damn thing, and that seems to be the sweet spot. But definitely made a huge difference as far as like the shakiness of the front end whenever you get up to like higher speeds. But anyhow, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Everything came out freaking amazing. I know I said that this was going to be the last round of upgrades before paint, but there is one more thing that I need to do. But don't worry, we'll probably do that in the video with tearing it down and getting everything painted. So most certainly looking forward to that. I can't wait to see this thing in its new color and get everything all just looking nice. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do smash the like button. Peace, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And once again, I have all the links for everything that I've used on this thing in the description down below if you're interested in any of that. A lot of the companies are giving you guys a discount too. Later.